We come together on this site from many directions, following a myriad of routes and roads of life to get to this point. From here we will go our different ways in different directions. May our time together for these moments strengthen us and our resolve to travel the right road on the trail of truth. As we speed on, let us not forget our fellow travellers, to stop and help if they're fallen, to guide them wisely if they're lost, to encourage them in their own journey. May our onward journey be as challenging and as exciting as that so far. So welcome to our worship.
Sacris, solemniis, et ex precodis, sonet precomino, precedat vetera, nos indomina,
Christ shows how to let go of all that holds us back, of all that limits us, of all that shames us. He leaves us with no choice but to seize life, to share in its pleasures, to not worry too much. He shares with us that to do this, to be disciples, we cannot continue in the ways in which we have always travelled, the lives we have always led. We need to let go. The Spirit challenges us all to live a new life, to love in new ways, to walk on His way, a way to love, a way to change us, others, the world. May we be buried in love, like the seed buried in the earth, so that we may begin to live life more abundantly.
Sacris,
The reading is from John chapter 12, reading from verse 20 to 33. Many people were arriving in Jerusalem for the celebration of the Jewish religious festival known as the Passover. However, not all of the people were Jewish, and one group of foreigners made contact with Philip and said, "Sir, we would like to meet Jesus." Philip, who was from the Galilean town of Bethsaida, told Andrew, and together they went and told Jesus about the request from the foreign visitors. On hearing about it, Jesus said, "If the foreigners are asking after us, we've reached the point of no return. The time has come for the new human to be lifted up in all his glory." He went on to say, "I kid you not, a grain of wheat is nothing unless it hits the dirt and loses its life. But if it gives up its life as a single grain, then it will begin to produce a bumper crop of life. Anyone who prizes their own life above everything else will end up losing the lot. But those who treat their individual survival in this world as a matter of no consequence will find life opening up before them without limit. If any of these people want to apprentice themselves to me, they will need to come and stick with me. Those who work for me will be going wherever I go. Whoever works for me will get the thumbs up and the God who conceived me. But at the moment, I'm all churned up inside. Should I call on the Father to bail me out of what is about to happen? No, I can't do that, because what is about to happen is the pinnacle of everything I came to achieve. So then I call out to God and say, 'Father, put your name up in lights.' And a voice answered from heaven saying, 'I have already brought glory to my name, and I will do so again.' The crowd who were gathered there heard the voice. Some of them said it sounded like thunder, and others said, 'A messenger from God has spoken to him.' Jesus answered them, saying, 'This voice has spoken for your benefit, not mine. The world is being weighed in the balance right now, and the one who has been calling the shots in this world will now be driven out. As for me, I will be lifted up off the ground, and when that happens, I will draw all people to myself." With these words, he gave an indication of the kind of death he was going to die. May we open ourselves to the seeds of wisdom that lie dormant in this reading, and may our minds be fertile soil in which they may grow strong and true.
Locus iste, Adeo factus est,
A Chinese lord was very pleased with his fine garden. He was delighted with its towering bamboo tree. Every time he passed it by, the bamboo would sway and bow down low in homage. One day the Lord spoke to the tree. "Bamboo, I have a favour to ask of you." The bamboo bowed even lower. "I am your servant. I will do whatever you ask." And the Lord asked it to surrender its branches and leaves. He said, "They are shading too much of the sunlight from my other shrubs and flowers." The bamboo was a little taken aback. "But Master, if you cut them away, I shall not be so grand. I will not be able to offer you such homage." "You must trust me," declared the Lord, and the bamboo consented. A few days later, the Lord stopped again before the tree. "Bamboo, I have another favour to ask of you. I want you to surrender your coat of bark. It will make excellent gutters for water to reach my other shrubs and flowers." But Master, if you take it away, I shall not be so strong, and I will not be able to offer you such homage." "You must trust me," declared the Lord, and the bamboo again consented. A few days later, the Lord stopped once more before the tree. "Bamboo, I have a final favour to ask of you. Let me cut you down very low, then there will be more nourishment of the soil available for my other shrubs and flowers." "But Master, if you cut me, I shall not be so tall, and I will not be able to offer you such homage." Once again, the Lord said, "You must trust me." And once again, the bamboo consented. Some weeks later, the Lord stood before the by now very small bamboo. "Thank you, my trusting bamboo," he said. "All my other shrubs and flowers are thriving because of your dedication. You have paid me the greatest homage. And I notice new buds shooting from you already." Our Gospel today opens with some Greeks who had come up to Jerusalem to worship. Philip brings them to Andrew, and Andrew brings them to Jesus. Jesus brings them right away into the heart of paradox and into the heart of truth. He said, "Unless the grain of wheat falls to the earth and dies, it remains alone. But if it dies, it produces much fruit. Whoever loves his life destroys it, and whoever despises his life in this world keeps it for everlasting life." The Greeks are taught the paradoxical wisdom of the gospel, which is also enshrined in the Chinese story with which I began. In all spheres of life, the secret of deeper joy is often in delayed satisfaction. The psychologist Carl Jung says that most mental illness comes from the avoidance of legitimate suffering. The neurotic manoeuvres that we make to avoid the legitimate suffering that is part of our reality becomes much more painful than the original suffering would have been. And Christ is an example of his own message. He said, "When I am lifted up from the earth on the cross, I shall draw all things to myself." Now, from a normal human point of view, Jesus was a total failure. Everything he started seemed to collapse. His disciples betrayed or abandoned him. He was executed as a criminal. Yet, he was the one who rose from the dead and whose way, 2 millennia later, billions of people still try to walk. The paradox of the life of Christ, the paradox of self-giving and then sprouting new life as experienced by the bamboo, is also the experience of Christian spiritual practices, or indeed all spiritual practices. To spend some time each day trying, for example, to repeat a word or a phrase that is always being lost in a forest of distraction seems to be a futile and useless exercise. Yet the Christian experience shows that from this death comes life. The person who meditates, who takes time to reflect, may feel that it is loss all the way. Meditation, in its essence, is the art of being aware of what is going inside you and around you. And then, from time to time, little sprouts. The little sprouts of what St. Paul calls the higher gifts of patience, understanding, forbearance, love, will begin to appear and give a deeper joy than the much desired success for which we all crave. The writer Howard Thurman searingly describes the impact of such spiritual practice. He wrote, "How good it is to centre down, to sit quietly and see one's self pass by. The streets of our minds seethe with endless traffic, our spirits resound with clashings, with noisy silences, while something deep within hungers and thirsts for the still moment and the resting lull. With full intensity we seek, ere the quiet passes, a fresh sense of order in our living, a direction, a strong, sure purpose that will structure our confusion and bring meaning in our chaos. We look at ourselves in this waiting moment, the kinds of people we are. The questions persist. What are we doing with our lives? What are the motives that order our days? As we listen, floating up through all the jangling echoes of our turbulence, there is another kind of sound, a deeper note, which only the stillness of the heart makes clear. It moves directly to the core of our being. Our questions are answered, our spirits refreshed, and we move back into the traffic of our daily round with the peace of the eternal in our step. How good it is to centre down.
We light this candle in remembrance and hope, to call to mind Magnus and Ronald and all the saints, and all those dear to us who have gone before, especially those who have died in recent times. And as a sign of hope to future generations as yet unborn, Jesus said, "I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me shall not walk in darkness, but shall have the light of life."
Bless the
A prayer. Let this be admitted plainly. We often shrink from being buried alive in Christ's way. Where is hope to be found in grain shoved underground? Why was this Jesus so uncompromising, blunt, leaving no other choice when the world seems full of options not so dull? We want to seize life and enjoy its favours, savouring its pleasures without worrying much about the results of such. Why couldn't he have made the whole thing a bit easier for once? Please yourself, why not say, and now have a good day. Where is the glory in the precious grain buried in the dark, chill soil? Why is our way a loss compared to his bleak cross? Let this be said plainly. It defies common sense, this way that Jesus takes. Yet, when we go just 1 mile with him, we start to smile.
Jesus Christ the Lord, Jesus
Go from here, go from where you are, to see Jesus in all the places that seem dead and in all the places where life is vibrant. Keep on looking and keep on hoping, for God lives on today. May you stay safe in the way of Christ, and may you be blessed by his Spirit, today and always. Amen.